Welcome to this week's episode of Keeping It Real Basketball. So, initially, this week's episode was going to be on something obviously related to basketball, but I couldn't ignore the elephant in the basketball room, on the court, if you will, maybe, which is the whole situation with this our friend here. Ime Udoka. So you guys, I'm sure everybody has heard the whole situation. Kind of call this Ime Udoka the viridescent letter, take on the scarlet letter, if you will. So we're going to look at a little bit of the success that he has had, and his suspension, the speculation thereafter, and what does the future potentially hold for Ime Udoka. June 28th, 2021, he was hired as the head coach for the Celtics. I think there was a lot of excitement. African American coach. That was, really a positive thing. And, there was a lot of excitement for the Celtics and, hoping to make some noise in the playoffs for this year. And, initially, I don't think it went as expected. Just because in the beginning, I think around December, it tells you right here, they had a 16-19 record, which, doesn't really say, hey, these guys are going to be, making some noise in the playoffs. But somehow they were able to flip the switch. I'm sure, there was the coaching that was involved, there was the players. And so they made it work, and that was a very positive thing, and obviously they made it all the way to the finals. Very competitive series. They ended up losing, but they made it a lot farther than most people expected. So that was, that was a very positive thing for the Celtics, and I think it was the future was bright. Um, and then a few days ago, this happened. I think took everybody by surprise just because, it's like the whole situation, the improper, intimate, consensual relationship. I think everybody heard that there might be a suspension. And when I first heard about it, honestly, I thought it was going to be like a slap on the wrist. It's like, all right, you were caught. We'll give you a, 10 game suspension at most. Okay, maybe 5 games, 3 games, maybe 1 game. I don't know, but honestly, that's what I was thinking. Especially because when you think about what happened not too long ago with Sarver, which I know it's not the team, this was the NBA and separate from the Celtic organization. But when a guy who said all those things, I'm talking about Sarver, racist and misogynistic, things, and only gets 1 year suspension. And then I wasn't expecting the suspension to be that bad for Udoka. I was expecting, okay, maybe a couple of games, a few games here and there, and everything should be okay. So that's what I was expecting, and obviously that didn't happen. Day later, we find out that he's been suspended for the entire season, which, yeah, took everybody by surprise, and suddenly I think we were all kind of like, wait, this just doesn't sound right. This is kind of like what's going on here, because nobody was expecting it to be that long, and obviously, if it's that long, then maybe something else is going on that we're not being told. There's more to the story, and I think that's where everybody's head went at that point. Um, Again, why was it so long? Why not just fire him outright? I thought the reason that they might not wanted to fire him though was maybe because if you fire him, you have to pay the rest of his contract, whereas if he resigns, then they don't have to pay that. I'm guessing. I don't know. But anyways, and again, what was it that was bad enough for just 1 season, but not enough for firing? So and again, it was a consensual relationship. So why? Do you need to, to me, this is like a personal matter between him and his fiance, wife. It should have been left at that. Obviously, we know that that was not what happened. And obviously, the speculation that ensued, which was, Stephen A. Smith saying that, we don't need to know this. it's not our place, I guess. That should have been something that should have kept behind closed doors, should not have seen the light of day, which to me made me wonder, honestly, is this something that Boston was kind of doing to kind of force Udoka to resign? I mean, honestly, that's something that came to my mind, but we don't know. I do kind of think Stephen A. Smith kind of made the Boston Celtics get on the defensive and kind of like I'm assuming that's why they ended up having the press conference to say, hey, no, that's actually bad. I'm also wondering if that was kind of the reason they kind of started leaking a little bit of like information, like when Matt Barnes was saying that's 100 times uglier than personally. I thought, wait, is it something coming to do with somebody who's underage or something like that? Because it's like when you're saying it's 100 times uglier, it's like, wait, what's happening here? So again, this is I don't know if that's what was going on. Where kind of Boston was kind of pushing something out there to again not seem like the bad guy, maybe. Especially after Stephen A. Smith's rant, we started getting a little bit more information. TMZ reported that it was a Celtic staffer, and part of their duties were to plan travel for Udoka and his fiance wife. Now, this is interesting because that basically would put, and in that case, it makes complete sense why the Boston Celtics would do this, just because of the sexual harassment situation. Now, um, if you guys remember, Sarver basically lost his team because of, misogynistic statements, racist statements, and maybe Boston was just trying to get ahead of this. If you're just looking at this, it's like she's a subordinate, and he took advantage of that, if you will, if you want to look at it like that. And don't forget what happened in Dallas with there's also sexual harassment, and then now we have Sarver who just lost his team because of that. So it might have been that was the situation. And again, maybe it was just a straight up, hey, sexual harassment. That's not cool. We're just gonna nip it in the bud. It's done, and there's your 1 year suspension. Possible. And now recently, and you just found out like a day ago, is that again, this is a rumor because nothing has been confirmed yet. This is just people kind of, putting two and two together, um, doing the detective work. And it appears that the person in question might be the lady named Kathleen Lynch. And again, in that case, because the she was in an assistant role, then again, she would actually be, you could argue for sexual harassment in that situation, and it would make complete sense. But there's a little wrinkle. She happens to be the wife of one of the executives from the Celtics. So in that case, then you could technically argue that the one in a subordinate role would actually be Ime. So this is kind of an interesting situation now. So yeah, I could see why they would say this is messy. As of right now, again, there might be other stuff that comes out. So now let's go to the other situation. What do we expect for the future? Now, there is a chance that Udoka might be blackballed for this. Again, sexual harassment, not something that people want to deal with. And if I'm an executive, do I want the guy who's doing this on my team? I don't know. So it might be that Udoka might not be able to get a job anymore. And if that's the case, I feel like he has a case for sexual harassment just because of the situation where she even though she was his subordinate, he kind of was her subordinate because she's the wife of an executive. So again, I don't know if I'll get to this. To me, the more interesting thing is that I feel like he's gonna have to resign. He's gonna have to resign, or I feel like that's kind of what they're forcing him to do. 1 year suspension makes no sense. I feel like they did not want to fire him because if they fire him, then they have to continue paying him. So I think that that's the reason they don't want to fire him. So it's like they give him the 1 year suspension, and then keep in mind that when you the press conference they said they will revisit it in 1 year, which means in 1 year they might say we will suspend them for 2 more years. So we don't know what they're planning to do, or they might decide to fire him then. We don't know. So for Udoka to cut his losses, it would be more beneficial for him to go in and resign. And like I said, this is what would be more interesting to me because now is when I'm thinking this guy, regardless of the situation, was a good coach. He did a good job. He took a team that really wasn't doing much in the Eastern Conference to the finals. So very impressive. So in that case, I'm thinking, wait, so what team would be able to pick him up, add him to their coaching staff? As a head coach, obviously, I don't know if I would necessarily see him as an assistant, although that might happen, I guess. So, what I'm looking at are teams that would benefit from having somebody, from having a good coach, a great coach who could take them to that next level. Now that we know that Udoka could do that. So, first, one of the choices for me would be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, you guys see that their record right here was, well, not great. I think they were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're on the eighth seed. So, not too bad. So in this situation, I think they would do great. And keep in mind that they just got Donovan Mitchell. So that would be, this team's looking to take that next step. Some people are saying, hey, they might be first, second, third. I really don't see them being more than fourth. But with a better coach, I could see them being first, second. So definitely would be interesting in that situation. So I think Cleveland Cavaliers would definitely be able to use a coach like that. Another one, this one's kind of, I know, yes, to me, the Lakers. Now, this is assuming, obviously, they already do have a coach. I know that. But my thing is more with the Lakers, there's always your coaching job is never secure. If you have a 6, 7 game losing streak, you're more than likely out of there. So this one, I would be thinking somewhere in the season if plans don't go the way they're supposed to, and the Lakers go on a losing streak. They start to panic. They let go of Darvin Ham, and hey, there's Udoka. Let's pick him up. He did great. Might take us to the finals. Look at the Celtics. They had a bad record or below 500 record last year on December. Hey, you know. So Lakers to me would be another option, but again, they would have to not do great initially for that to happen. Um, the other option would also be the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are also that team that's trying to take that next step. They did great. Obviously, they don't have Pat Beverly anymore, but they have a great team. I think they can make some noise. Obviously, there's even less competition now that San Antonio is not even gonna try to, you know, be in the play-in. So should be, and the Utah Jazz are not gonna be in the mix anymore. So now Timberwolves will be making some noise, might take that next step, and then having a great coach would help with that even more. So I think that would be the next team. Now the last team, this is the one that would honestly, for an NBA fan, would be probably one of the best situations because imagine the Brooklyn Nets. They make it to the playoffs, whatever place. Celtics make it to the playoffs, and now they have to face each other. And now, Udoka is on the opposing teams. Um, that would be amazing. Now, I know that you guys are thinking, hey, but Nash is there. Now, if you guys remember, uh, Kevin Durant, uh, one of his complaints was about the coaching. Honestly, I agree that they do need a better coach. Perhaps the reason the Nets weren't willing um, to do that was because, if you're honest, there's not that many great coaches out there. And do you really want to go take a chance on somebody who is not gonna do great? Whereas Udoka, again, he was able to take the Celtics to the finals. So I would say, hey, this guy's good. This guy is actually good enough for me to want to fire the current coach. We'd fire, let's say, Nash, and now we take Udoka if I were the Brooklyn Nets. I don't see. I think this would be awesome. It would be. I feel like it would be a great fit. But more than that, as an NBA fan and a fan of NBA drama, it would be awesome again to see the Brooklyn Nets going against the Celtics, you know, in the playoffs, and Udoka is on the Brooklyn bench. So to me, that would be interesting. It would be just awesome. So that's something that I would be I would be looking forward to if it were to happen. So, anyways, that's basically pretty much the my whole thing on Ime Udoka's Viridescent letter. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Small channel, just trying to get it started. So just make sure you like and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.